Okay, welcome to part two. Back to Lou Elizondo again. Now, Susan Goff, at the Pentagon spokesman, said Elizondo had no assigned responsible duties for ATIP. And I think we've heard before that ATIP was actually a hobby program Lou Elizondo dreamed up to do in his spare time. So it's not a real government program. The people that ran ORSAP said that ATIP, Lou was doing his thing and they were doing theirs. They had funding. Lou didn't, had zero funding. ATIP was something Lou Elizondo made up. It was a hobby program, a hobby project that he did in his spare time. Nothing about Lou Elizondo makes any sense. I mean, if you're in a government position to investigate all this stuff, you would not resign that position to come out into the civilian world so you could talk to people about UFOs and ET. Because as soon as you leave that, you're not in a position to get any classified information the government might have, are you? You know, so lots of civilians that are involved in love all this UFO ET stuff would love to get a job in the Pentagon on that program, or close to the ORSAP program, or any kind of program that supposedly is looking at this stuff, so they can get any tidbits from it. You wouldn't resign and say, yeah, I'm going to go out into the civilian world, read some UFO books, talk to MUFON. It's ludicrous. So Susan Goff, a Pentagon spokesperson, said Elizondo had no assigned responsibilities for ATIP. Lou Elizondo himself has said quite clearly he was not a part of ORSAP. If you look at Stephen Greenstreet's videos, excellent work by Stephen Greenstreet. He's found lots of evidence to show this is all rubbish. Lou Elizondo clearly states he was not a part of ORSAP, so he's distancing himself as well from, you know, dino beavers and werewolves and Skinwalker Ranch. Doesn't want to know anything about ORSAP and that nonsense. ATIP was a small, unofficial effort with no government funding. It was Elizondo's hobby. Okay, so what's he going to put in the book about ATIP? Top secret Pentagon UFO project? Doesn't sound very much like it, does it? It's a hobby project of his own with zero funding. Now, I'm not always in the same place when I watch these videos, so this is post-its. God, I wish I'd invented these things. Is it 20 billion a year? Wow, so simple. Ross Coulthard, again talking more absolute poppycock, balderdash. He was being interviewed, and you can tell he's a real fanboy. And we still haven't heard about your alien sphere, Ross. You know, the one that weighs exactly 50 pounds that you got from Texas. Aliens engineering artifacts using terrestrial imperial weights and measures. Yeah, we've heard nothing about that. Him and Nolan, very quiet on that. Because it's a ball check valve made in the USA, that's why. And they've known that forever. They would have known that within a week of returning it to the US for Nolan to examine. No results. Why? If it was an alien sphere, we would have known all about it within days. It's not. Okay, so what Coulthard was saying was Elon Musk may have been read into a UFO crash recovery program. So anyone can say, oh, this guy may have been read into this, or may have done this, and may have done that. You know, he's not even saying he's been told. He said Elon Musk may have been read into a UFO crash recovery program. Yet Musk says, you know, there's no evidence of aliens. He said if anyone would know, he would. In the civilian world, presumably he's talking about. And I think that's true. I've said it before, Musk has got so much money that he could buy that information. If anyone could prove to him that they had an alien artifact, they'd never have to work again. Musk could just pay them out of his back pocket, tens of millions of dollars, you know. So Musk would know, and he says aliens are not coming here. There's no crash retrieval program. And then Coulthard said, well, you know, he may have to say that because they may have said to him, we'll read you in, but, you know, if you say anything about it, then you're going to lose all your contracts with the government for these space launches and all this sort of stuff. So Musk would have to stay quiet. Now, how ridiculous does that sound to you? Well, first of all, if you were going to make some sort of threat like that, you wouldn't read him in the first place, would you? You just wouldn't bother. Because it's probably occurred to Musk, and it's probably occurred to you too, that the American government need Musk more than he needs them. You know, they would have no way of getting supplies, crews to the space station without SpaceX. So complete and utter rubbish. Again, it's Coulthard being a fanboy, talking all this rubbish up with very little concept of what would really happen. You know. And SpaceX wouldn't be using chemical rockets either, would they? You know, his autopilot and his electric cars would work, wouldn't it? if he had access to alien technology, you know, SpaceX would already be on the moon or Mars. You know, the electric cars would work properly; they wouldn't burst into flames. You know? So it's complete and utter rubbish. Yeah. Okay, I think that handles that one. Now, Brendan Frugal apparently has said that he's had a classified briefing stolen from his hotel room. Now, Frugal's a civilian. Now, apparently this was a presentation he was going to do on Skinwalker Ranch, and it was classified, you know. Now, I can say I'm a civilian, you know, my bank account details are classified. My PIN number is classified. You are not going to find that out. It's classified. So he's got a lot of nonsense from Skinwalker Ranch he considers classified. And now he's talking it up, saying a classified briefing was stolen. Complete and utter rubbish. May well have, his USB stick may have been stolen, but whatever was on it wasn't going to be classified in any way, shape or form, is it? In the real definition of classified. You know, penalties for you know, from the government for stealing it or exposing it would not have been there, would they? Yeah, so I put a line through Brendan Frugal. I mean, I saw a video Stephen Greenstreet did actually with Frugal. He's showing him a Green Street around his apartment, and he's showing him all these bits of metal junk, a cylinder and all this sort of stuff, you know. And then he took him along to this presentation. It was supposed to be, I don't know whether it was supposed to be a free energy or an anti-gravity presentation by UFO Joe. And he'd made these machines, and he'd probably seen the film Event Horizon, where you've got the rotating rings inside each other, which is the magic propulsion system for this starship, you know. And he's got these things rotating around, you know, the whole thing's rattling around, and you can see that Frugal's got previous versions of this in his flat, in his apartment. A complete and utter waste of time. It's junk, a complete waste of time. Hal Puthoff was there. You can see in the video, Hal Puthoff's there talking it up. Oh yeah, you know, yeah, look at this, you know. And of course, UFO Joe was saying, all I need is more money, you know, I'm on the cusp of making this work. And of course, any kind of free energy machine, any kind of anti-gravity machine, it's not going to have mechanical moving parts in it. It's just, they've got no concept of what anything like any of this may actually be like. It comes straight from a science fiction film. It's complete and utter rubbish. Apparently Stephen Greer is going to do a document dump. Yeah, and I think dump is the operative word here. Anything Greer has to say, I've said it before, personal opinion, put a line through it, complete and utter rubbish. Dump is right. You know, when you take a dump, you could use his data dump, assuming it's paper of course and it's not too shiny, as arse paper, because that's all it's going to be worth. Now, finally, there's there's apparently federal agencies must now deliver all UFO reports for public disclosure, all reports that they have for public disclosure by the 20th of October this year. Okay? So any federal agencies, whether it's classified or not, they have to deliver any and all UFO reports, materials, audio, video, to the US government for public disclosure by the 20th of October. Okay, so this is putting into action the UFO Disclosure Amendment to the 2024 National Defence Authorisation Act, the NDAA, as signed into law last December. This is to compel unwilling parts of the US military and intelligence community into revealing everything they know about UFOs and UAPs. So the government's had enough of all this twaddle. You know, people are losing interest in it left, right and centre. It's obviously, it's all hot air. There's obviously nothing to it. People out there still are not accepting that. So they've said, right, okay, anything and everything by the 20th of October, we're going to reveal it. Whether it's classified or not, we're going to reveal it to the public. And of course, there's going to be nothing ET related to it. There's going to be no crash retrieval programs, no secret crash retrieval programs. Now, is Louis Elizondo delaying his book until he has seen what they have to say, what gets released after the 20th of October? Is that what this is all about? He's will the the fanboy the fanboy fan base ever accept that there's nothing to this? You know, again, another report. Everything you've got will reveal to the public. If there's nothing, there won't be. I'll tell you that now. If there's no evidence of ET crash retrieval programs, ET visiting, ET ever visiting, will the fanboys still accept that? Will they accept it, rather? Will they still be saying it's all a cover-up, it's obvious, they're not going to reveal anything, you know? Bassett will be jumping up and down, truth embargo, when they've just had enough of it. They just want to say, look, just get it into your thick heads. There is nothing to this. There never has been. If anyone is telling you otherwise, they're delusional, they're lying, or they're part of the industry. They're fabricating stories you want to hear for money, to make money. That's what it's all about. It's all it's ever been about. So, that's every government agency, intelligence agency and everything else got to submit anything and everything they have, including classified information, to the US government by the 20th of October. Now, is that back to the beginning? I think it is, actually, yeah. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I made a few notes there, covered a few things, but as I've said, I do keep an eye on this. That's just notes I've made over the last couple of weeks when I've been looking at different videos put out by different people, what's being said by who, you know. The more I look into it, the less I find. There is zero substance to any of this. You know, when you look at all this stuff, how could you possibly get the impression there is anything to it? There is not a scrap of tangible evidence to support ET coming here, to support ET ever coming here. You know, and I think what's going on around this at the moment should clearly show that. I mean, what's David Grush's excuse for not wanting to talk to Tim, whatever his name is, the new boss of Arrow, or someone else at Arrow? You know, they should ask David Grush exactly who he wants to tell his stories to. Obviously not to Travis Taylor or any of the guys that were involved with ORSAT, because they're fanboys. But someone that's going to look at it objectively, they're going to look at it and say, okay, I want to look at the evidence and I will form an opinion from what evidence I see. And when you see no evidence, what other opinion can you form? Then it's not real. But Grush should be sat down and asked those questions. Who do you want to tell your story to, Mr. Grush? Why don't you want to tell it to Sean Kirkpatrick's replacement at Arrow? Why doesn't Tim Burchett and David Grush go to see the new boss of Arrow and get all this recorded? And then Grush can't say, well, they're stonewalling me, because Tim Burchett will be there hearing the testimony given by Grush to the boss of Arrow. So Arrow can't say, well, we haven't heard this evidence, we haven't heard this story. Well, it's not evidence, is it? That's all it would take. David Coulthard is saying, well, some members of Congress believe this is all going on, this recovered ET spacecraft, But it's a sort of UFO caucus within Congress that believes what they've been told by Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, David Grush, It's not people that have seen any evidence. What they need to do is they need to go as a group with Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, David Grush, get them all in a room together with Arrow, with the boss of Arrow, a couple of other Arrow people, and just talk about it across the table, get it all recorded, and then take it from there. Because Arrow will be in a position to check out every single claim that's made, and then they can bring out a report saying it's all complete and utter rubbish, which is what it will be. If any of those people thought that Arrow were going to bring out a report saying, actually, we've looked into this and we've checked this out and this is true and that's true and this is true, we have seen tangible evidence for this, that and the other, they would not hesitate to go and see Arrow to prove their point. Mention Arrow, oh no, I've got to run away, hide under the table, because Arrow can check out what they're saying. They're cleared to see and hear anything any of those Piffle-Peddlers have to peddle. The Piffle-Peddlers know that. They're not, I mean, I could say I worked for DI-55, back in the UK. I worked for DI-55 for 10 years, and I could tell this to anybody. But I couldn't tell it to anybody that was in a position to check it out, because they'd come back in a couple of days and go, hey, Steve, there's no trace of you. There's no trace in the government records about you ever working for DI-55. And then I'd have to do a Bob Lazar. It's been erased, I mean, that would insult the intelligence of a cheese and pickle sandwich, wouldn't it, really? Yet people believe Bob Lazar. It's all complete and utter rubbish. Yeah, all right. Well, I think that's about it. This is part 2. I had to do it this way because this camera only records in blocks of 30 minutes and it's a bit of a pain in the rear end to join it up. So, as always, I'll say many thanks for watching, and maybe I'll catch you again.